Standing by.
Do you have a guest today?
No, we don't have a guest today. I had one so far, Michelle Smith from Insight Schools, which is the virtual school that I worked at. She was a science department chair with me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was math and she was science. Okay, and we'll see the number of viewers increase. Okay, it started live, so we'll see the number of viewers go up. We'll wait just a few minutes because I know we have a delay. There's about a 30-second delay between the visual and the streaming. So if you're watching the course, we'll be starting shortly. Okay, welcome to week 3 of Performance and Assessment in the Virtual Classroom. My name is Raquel Nedden, and we have a guest with us from the University of Irvine Extension, Victoria O'Neill, who's going to be talking to us later in the broadcast about the Virtual Teacher Certificate that's available through University of California, Irvine. All right, so just a couple things before we get going here. There's a question and answer page on the broadcast. So what you actually need to do, there's a couple steps. When you're on the YouTube page, you're going to see the live streaming. There's a little tiny button in the left-hand corner. It says be part of the conversation. Click here to join the audience for the Hangout. So the YouTube page is only a static page. It's not interactive. So you have to actually be in the Hangout to start the question and answer and the interaction. That way you can be part of the Hangout. So you're going to click on that and it's going to bring you to the web page, and you're going to see a little bar on the right hand side that's for questions. It says answer questions by selecting one from the list. So you can either select one from the list or you can just type in the chat. Okay. And we already have a question from Carmen, so I'll be answering that in a few. All right, if you cannot access that for some reason, so for some reason it's not working, it's not letting you in, which we've had problems with that in the past, what you can also do is type your question on the actual Google Hangouts events page. So there's a page just for our course called Performance and Assessment in the Virtual Classroom, and you can type it in and I'll check it periodically and to see if there's any incoming questions. Okay, so today I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on in the course. We're week 3, so we're a little over halfway through the course. This week you will be completing the peer assessment. So the peer assessment has a couple parts, so we'll talk about each part. The way Coursera MOOCs work is that there's many students in the course. So peer assessment is really a good way to go. We're able to you're able to interact with your colleagues. We're able to evaluate a lot of assignments at once, and it works very well when all the systems cooperate together. So the peer assignment is an assignment which is submitted and then graded by the course members. And each course member will not only complete the assignment, but will evaluate 3 of their peers, their colleagues' assignments. Now, why 3? We set it at 3 to account for any inactive students, and it's worked very well in the past with that ratio. You're welcome to evaluate more students, but not less. So in other words, you can go back and evaluate more assignments, but if you do less, then there'll be a deduction from your grade, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so the assignment has 2 phases. The submission phase, which we're in right now, in which you will actually submit the assignment. And those will be due next Sunday at midnight. It's actually 11:55. Then you may begin reviewing your peers' work the next day. So Monday at really midnight, 12:01 a.m., you're able to start assessing your peers. You will automatically be assigned 3 assignments. You will grade them based on the rubrics that I provided, and you will submit that, and then it will record that you've evaluated yours. So that phase is going to last from June 8th until June 16th, also at midnight, 11:55. Make sure you allow plenty of time to account for any technical issues and for time zone. We've had students try to wait until the last day, and then all of a sudden the time zone will knock them out. So just keep in mind that we are on Pacific Daylight Time here in California. Okay, so on the peer assignment, you're going to be asked to evaluate a fictional gradebook. So this gradebook would be typical of a prepackaged virtual course that you may receive. Usually when a district contracts out with course providers. The course provider provides everything, the lessons, the practice assignments, the homework, and the grade book. And you get this cookie cutter grade book, and then you go into it and say, gosh, well, is this really a fair grade book? Was this grade book set up according to our school's philosophy, and what needs to be changed? And we talked about the importance of gradebook psychology and philosophy in our lectures, and the way the gradebook is set up can make or break a student, and it could be through no fault of their own. It's just the way the percentages are laid out, and it's very important to start evaluate that, to know how to do the numerical evaluations on that so the gradebook is statistically sound and it's what we consider a fair gradebook, and it's in line with your school's philosophy as well. So the gradebook that you will be given will be a fictional gradebook, and you're going to perform numerical calculations on it, and then you're going to also put some recommendations for the gradebook based on the lectures and the reading in the course. There are 10 questions on the assignment. The first 8 will be numerical calculations, and then the last 2 will be essay type qualitative analysis of the gradebook. I always get asked this question. It's been a long time since I've taken a math course. I need to review. What can I do? So there is a review video in the course, and it has problems similar, but not exactly similar to the ones that you will experience on the assignment. So the best thing to do is go back and watch the video, take notes on that, perform the calculations along with me. So just have your calculator, your pencil and paper ready, and do the calculations with me. Stop the video as needed, rewind it if you need to, and make sure you understand how to perform those. And that way you'll be ready for the peer assignment. You will actually be more than ready this time. I put some problems on there that are a little more difficult than the ones that you're experiencing as well. So that's located under the week 1 resources. Okay, how will I be scored by my peers? The numerical questions, which are the first 8, are going to be an all or nothing deal. So your colleagues will either score you a 0 or a 2 if you got correct. There's no 1, it's just 0 or 2. That's how we set up the points. The essay questions will be graded on a scale from 0 to 4 based on the rubric that I provided, and it's in the announcements. 0 being no analysis, the student left it blank, or they wrote something that was off the topic, not related to the topic. And then 4 being the analysis is exemplary, it's a model answer, it's highly organized, the rationale is in depth and justified, and it represents a model answer. Okay, so you will just score them from 0 to 4, and there's a simple drop-down menu. You just click on the menu, click between 0 and 4, and then it assigns your colleague the score. Okay, so the peer assignment is 15% of your grade. And we set it up that way because of the way Coursera does the virtual teacher certificates, which Victoria will talk about in a minute. However, if you don't evaluate your peers, there's a 20% penalty. And students at first thought that was 20% of their total grade, but that's not the case. It's 20% of whatever you got on the assignment. So if you got a 90% on the assignment, it would be 20% of that deduction. So it's not 20% of your total grade. Then I always get the question, what if I'm not happy with the way my work was evaluated? Okay, so the first thing you have to remember is that it's 15% of your grade, so you're still going to pass the course as long as all the other requirements are in. The second thing you need to remember is that 8 out of the 10 questions are numerical analysis, so it's either right or wrong. So it'll be difficult not to get those correct if you have for your peers not to evaluate those correctly, is what I'm trying to say. So there's only 2 problems that are subjective, that are open to interpretation, and we ask that everyone use their professional judgment to evaluate your peers fairly as much as possible. Okay, so for this week, you're going to view the video lectures for week 3. You're going to read the recommended readings under resources. You're going to post in the discussion forum for week 3 and then respond to one colleague. And then you're going to do the week 3 quiz. Then you'll complete the peer assignment. So really there's 5 things to do this week, and then week 3 will be done, and next week, week 4, you'll do the same thing, the lectures, the readings, the forum, the quiz, but it'll be the evaluate 3 peers. Okay, so allow yourself probably, I would say, less than an hour to complete all the evaluations, but start early so you don't have any technical issues or time zone issues as well. Okay, so next up, we're going to have a guest, Victoria O'Neill. Victoria is from the University of California, Irvine Extension, and she works with a lot of the certificate programs and the courses that you'll see on Coursera. And she's here today to talk about the Virtual Teacher Certificate and the importance of signature track. Okay, so I will go ahead and mute myself. And Victoria, you can go ahead and...
Okay. Can you hear me, Raquel?
Yes, sounds very clear.
Okay,
Welcome.
good. Okay, good. Well, first of all, Raquel, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And if I can help answer any questions, I'm happy to. The first thing I want to kind of clarify is what is being offered. Raquel, I think you called it the Virtual Teacher Certificate. And we actually have two different certificates. So I'll start with the Coursera Virtual Teacher Specialization. So the Coursera Virtual Teacher Specialization is a series of courses and a capstone, or sometimes called a final project. So to earn that certificate from Coursera, you would take the 4 courses in this series, and the first one being Foundations of Virtual Instruction, the second one, Emerging Trends and Technologies, the third one being Advanced Instructional Strategies, and the fourth course being this course, which is Performance Assessment. So you take those 4 courses. Now you need to sign up for Signature Track to be eligible. After you take the 4 courses, you sign up for the capstone. It's called Final Project through Coursera. Again, you would sign up for Signature Track, and you need to receive a 70% or above to pass the courses for the specialization. Now, once you do the 4 courses in Signature Track, you've received 70% or above, you take your final project, you have that experience, and you get a 70% or above, Coursera will issue you a specialization certificate. Now, there are no college credits assigned to a Coursera certificate. There are no college credits, right? You're going to have the certificate, which you can use to further your career goals. Obviously, you can put in your resume, and it's, I think, a useful thing to have if you want to maybe continue on this path of virtual education. But again, there are no college credits that come along with that certification from Coursera. So at the same time, some students opt for doing what's called the UCI practicum. And it's got different requirements. To be eligible to take the practicum, you need to take the 4 courses as before in Signature Track, but you need to receive a 90% or above to be qualified to apply to the practicum. The practicum is given through the University of California Extension. Unlike the final project in Coursera, you're actually signing up for a course, called traditional online course, not a MOOC course like Coursera. It is an online course. You can expect maybe 5 to 15 students in the course. There is an instructor who is very hands-on. There's a lot of projects. There's a lot of peer feedback. There's a lot of instructor feedback. And at the end of the practicum, if you pass, you receive 4 college or continuing college credits or units that you can that is in your transcript, or you can request a transcript with those credits. So in the UCI practicum, you receive credits. In the Coursera specialization, you do not. So they're kind of two different types of certifications, I suppose that you could call it, or two different tracks. Some people that need the college credits, or for whatever reason might opt, or simply that they want more feedback from their instructor, might opt for the UCI practicum. Other people, for different reasons, cost being one of them, they do the specialization. So there are just 2 choices, and it really depends on every student's unique situation to decide which choice is best for you. I think that they both have pluses and minuses. If you are looking for kind of a hands-on 10-week intensive course where you can apply all you've learned in a class, then you would be better off doing the UCI practicum. If peer feedback is all you need, then I would do the Coursera specialization. Again, they're both have their strengths. I teach the Coursera final project MOOC. I think there's a lot to be gained by taking it. I'll also say that some students, we've had a few students who have expressed an interest in doing both. They'll do one and then they do the other. So it's really up to the individual students. I'm happy to take any questions. Raquel, if you have any, or if your students have any. I hope that helped clarify the two different tracks that are available for students who take the course.
It did. Thank you. And I just want to emphasize that so many districts, I just don't even know of a district out there that doesn't have some form of virtual learning or blended learning developed in their program. And the certificate could certainly possibly, give an edge to a teacher who is interested in virtual learning, either implementing that in their classroom or becoming a technology leader in their district and helping other teachers develop blended learning courses. Most every district has adopted some kind of learning management system where the instructors put their content, digital content up there, announcements for parents, and use the learning management system to interact with students and parents. So it's a very important function in the districts and much needed, that's for sure. All right, fantastic.
Can you hear me, Raquel?
Yes.
I'll say for both of them, regardless of which, some students begin and they're not really sure what, maybe one or maybe the other. I just recommend that if you're in this field or if you want to be have a career in this field, you do need to, for both the practicum and the certification, you do need to sign up for Signature Track. Signature Track, what it does is it verifies that you are who you say you are, and it uses keyboard strokes to confirm your identity. I have a lot of students who email me, goodness, I think once a month saying, I missed the Signature Track deadline. Can I still sign up, or can I retroactively sign up? I took these courses and I passed. Can I retroactively sign up for Signature Track? And the answer is no. And it's not a UCI policy. It's something that Coursera is very strict on. If the deadlines are there for a reason, and once those deadlines pass, there's nothing that we can do on our end to help students. So that's why I always kind of send out a lot of announcements and reminders, because once that deadline is passed, that's that. However, Coursera has started a free trial, so you can submit an assignment. And then once you're part of the free trial, you can decide later on if you want to sign up and pay the $49. You have time, but you do have to you have to sign up for the trial, Signature Track trial, because it will begin verifying your identity. So that's really important. Once that deadline has passed, there's nothing we can do to help students. So I just wanted to say that and throw that out there.
Very good. Thank you. No, that's important because I have seen posts like that in the forum of going back retroactively and trying to add the Signature Track. So Victoria, do you have the dates for this particular course when the Signature Track deadline is?
You know what? I can check really quickly off the top of my head. I do not, but I can look right now.
Sure. Okay, let's do that.
It's less than a week away. For this.
Dear. Okay. Okay. Well, can I start answering questions in the forum then, and maybe we can do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So jump in when you're ready. So the question that I have is from Carmen, and Carmen asks, "What approach would you use to assess an appropriate amount of points that could be used for extra credit? I would want to take 4% of the easiest learning tasks that might be resubmitted. I would use this for a struggling student." And Carmen, I'll just comment on my experience with extra credit and the good things about it and the bad things about it, and hopefully it will help you make a decision. First of all, what my view on extra credit is that if the instructor offers the extra credit, it should be offered for all students. So I've worked with instructors in the past that offer it for just failing students or students who are just getting a C or below or whatever their cutoff is. And it works in some cases, but that policy generally can cause problems in classroom because it doesn't give students equity. They don't have access. Not all students have access to the assignment, and it can cause a problem with parents and kind of a public relations problem with the school as well. And usually the intent of the instructor is to try to pull up the grade of the failing student, which is fine, but just make that extra credit option available for all students. So that's one issue. The other philosophy that I have about extra credit is that it should be something that supports the standards, or that it causes a student to dig deeper into the standard. So sometimes, not always, but sometimes I've seen instructors give extra credit for topics that are unrelated to the course. So they're doing an activity, they're doing something that's not related, and it's not really supporting standards. So in that case, you just have to make sure that the assignment that you're giving is related to the topics at hand. Now, I know that seems very obvious, but I've seen many, many cases where, okay, well, you know, if you bring in this this form or whatever, I'll give you 50 points, or if you take this survey, and it's not really supporting student learning, it's just providing free points basically for that student. The other thing about extra credit too is just calculating it out so it limits the amount. So I've seen extra credit amounts literally up to 20–25%. So then you have to take a look and say, if your cutoff for passing is 60%, do you want a student who's getting a 35% to be able to pass with that extra credit item? So it really causes you to examine the practices that you're doing in your grade book to see if that is really valuable. I used to limit it to for my teachers to under 5%, and something that supports the learning. So if a student was at a 55%, they could complete an extra credit assignment as long as it was related to the topics at hand, either a resubmission, which I didn't count resubmissions as extra credit. I put that in a whole other category, but just something that caused them to dig deeper into the standards and supports their learning. So I hope that answers your question, Carmen. Okay, and I will also check the events page to make sure there's no questions. And Victoria, we have a question about Signature Track. Okay, so the question is about the cost for the Signature Track. The student paid $49, and they would like to know if that is for one course or for all four.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So before I answer that, I checked the ticker on our course, and there is only 1 day and 21 hours left.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the $49 is per class, and I think, you know, when you add up, well, I'll say this. Coursera offers financial aid to students who qualify. So if the $49 is going to create a hardship for students, they should definitely click on the financial aid link on Coursera and find out more. We usually have students on financial aid in every single one of our courses, but that's not something that we administer at all. So it's something through Coursera that they can look into if that's a hardship. Also, I would say, you know, when you add it all up, yes, you're looking at probably less than $250 for the whole specialization, which is a lot of money for some. I totally understand. At the same time, you know, I think that an equal course at a university for credit is going to cost is a lot more money, right? Coursera, because MOOCs are a lot cheaper. Obviously, as a student, you're not getting the instructor's feedback, but you're getting other things. So that's why there's a cheaper price. However, so I'll say that to keep that in mind. There is financial aid, and it's relatively inexpensive because there are so many students, and because we don't have that one-on-one interaction that you would get in a traditional face-to-face or a or a traditional online class. So the cost is cheaper. I believe our practicum is, the practicum through UCI is $600. So that's a lot more expensive, but you're getting much more. So again, you know, you have to personally, as a student, decide what's going to fit your needs and also your budget. You know, that's also a consideration. But the $49 is per each individual class.
Thank you, Victoria. And I have taught this same exact course through University Extension. This is the MOOC format. And if you look at the University Extension catalog, you'll see the differences in price. So to me, it's a very good value for the same class. It's just the MOOC format, the interaction with the instructor and the student, obviously because of the numbers in the course, is lower. But the instructors try as much as possible to monitor the forums and make sure that the problems are being taken care of.
Yeah, I definitely look into financial aid if it's an issue, because I know that Coursera works really hard to give students in need that financial assistance. So I would say, you know, it's worth exploring if that's you out there.
Yeah, that's a wonderful service that Coursera provides. Very good. Okay, and let me just scan and see if there's any more questions. If not, I think we're good to go for this week. Let's see. Okay, so, all right, Allison, I think I answered your question. And if there's any more questions, go ahead and type it in the chat box. And Victoria, I think what I'll do, since our deadline is approaching, I think I will send out this recording to the class tonight with a reminder of the deadline.
Yes, and just, you know, as much as it pains me, there's no way to give students extensions. So, you know, remind them of that as well, that once the deadline's passed for signature track, that's it. Of course, this whole series will be offered again in the fall. So if you don't, you know, for some reason can do it now, you do have a chance to do any one of the courses starting, I believe, in September. Don't quote me, but I think in the fall we'll be offering all the 4 courses again, as well as the final project on Coursera. But if you can sign up now, sign up now.
Fantastic. So the deadline would then be tomorrow midnight. Is that what you're saying? June 3rd?
Monday. I can't be sure. I think it's one day from 24 hours from now. So I think it'll be on Thursday.
Okay, so we'll double check, or you can
almost 2 days from today.
Almost 2 days. So I'll just put it to less than 48 hours. Okay,
so less than 48, yeah.
48 hours. Okay, fantastic. So I'll get out the recording tonight. That way students who may have an interest in it will have time to sign up at least before Thursday. All right, thank you. And let's see, it looks like there's no other questions, so we'll go ahead and dismiss for tonight. And I will see you guys next week in our Google Hangouts on Air Live. Have a good night.
Good night, Raquel.
Good night.